All right, I'm going to get our program started. Welcome, everybody, to the spring 2025 edition of Some Good Museum News, hosted by your 6 regional museum associations, a partnership designed around joy and humor since May of 2020. I wanted to offer a couple housekeeping notes. First of all, if you haven't done it already, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We'd love to know where you're joining us from today. We've turned on captions. If you don't see them on your screen, you should be able to click the CC button to turn those on or open the full transcript on the sidebar window. We encourage you to react to or comment on anything you are hearing today in the chat. For those of you who are watching this recording later, maybe on social media, please comment on what you're hearing. We'd love to hear from you. Now, to get things started, I want to make sure we do a round of introductions of our newscasters. I'm Charity Counts. I'm the Executive Director of the Association of Midwest Museums. And I'm going to pass it to Kayla at Mid-Atlantic.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla DeSmit. I'm the Executive Director at the Mid-Atlantic Association of Museums.
Zinnia.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Zinnia Willits. I'm the Executive Director of the Southeastern Museums Conference.
Other Kayla C.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kayla Coleman. I am the Executive Director at New England Museum Association.
We'll see Jason.
Hello, I'm Jason B. Jones, Executive Director of the Western Museums Association.
And last but not least, Justin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Jakovac. I am the Executive Director of the Mountain Plains Museums Association. Welcome.
All right. Up next is Jason with a little bit of background on what we're doing today.
Thank you, Charity. And hello out there in museum land. We hope you are well in these strange days. In fact, it's the current state of affairs is why we brought back some good museum news. These are turbulent times, and isolation only makes the bumps bigger. The antidote to these moments in history is community, hearing many different voices and lifting one another up. That's what we regional associations do. We gather, we welcome, we hold space for ideas and conversation. We take care of museum folks, who in turn lead our museums forward. It is through our shared identities and unique differences that we find paths through adversity. As cultural institutions are facing a growing number of existential challenges, the Council of Regional Association recognizes that now, more than ever, museum professionals must build alliances, collaborate with one another, and forge new roads together. We all strengthen our community when we create opportunities for critical and challenging conversations. We grow together when we share our experiences. As we bring museum people together, all of the anchors presenting today believe we must lift those up around us. Today, we are going to share some joy. Through some good museum news from our regions, uplifting stories of museums and their value to society. Thank you for being with us today. We hope you find comfort in hearing some of the good out there in the world. Let's get into it.
Thanks, Jason. Up first will be our moment of bliss. Let me share my screen, and then Justin, you'll get us started.
Let's start today's broadcast with a moment of bliss, inspired by Charity and Jason's recent walk through the Indianapolis Zoo. So take a minute, sit back and relax, and prepare for some good museum news.
I don't know about you all, but watching Mikal and Kiak, the two grizzly bears wrestling, was the highlight of my visit. Hope you enjoyed seeing that video. And who doesn't love cute baby animals or big animals? Now let's start today's featured stories with some big news. First up is a story from New England with Kayla.
This is so exciting. Holocaust Museum Boston, who is slated to open late 2026, is driven by the belief that even in the darkest chapters of our history, stories of courage, resilience, and humanity shine through. And that's exactly the kind of good news we're building in every aspect of the museum. One of the most exciting things we have to share is the incredible momentum and community support surrounding the project. Holocaust Museum Boston recently secured significant funding commitments, including $10 million from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This speaks volumes about the importance of this institution, not just as a place of remembrance, but as a beacon for education, empathy, and action. But the best good news is knowing that Holocaust Museum Boston will soon stand in the heart of the city known for fighting for freedom and democracy on Boston's historic Freedom Trail. The goal is to offer a space where people can reflect, learn, and leave empowered to make a difference. Congratulations, Holocaust Museum Boston.
Amazing. A few weeks ago, Intuit, the Center for Intuitive and Outsider Art, reopened its doors as the newly reimagined Intuit Art Museum. They tripled their space and shortened their name. The rebranding comes in tandem with a massive overhaul of the museum's public spaces, which will include new galleries, a revamp of their Henry Danger Room, and a dedicated education and art making area, an updated gift shop, and an accessible entrance as part of a retrofitted front facade. 20 months, $10 million, and 18,000 square feet later, congratulations to the staff and leadership of Intuit Art Museum.
And up next, we have the New York Hall of Science exploring what makes cities work. On May 3rd, the New York Hall of Science opened CityWorks, a new 6,000 square foot interactive exhibition that affords visitors an opportunity to explore the intricate systems that allow cities to function, break, evolve, and endure. CityWorks focuses on 5 different aspects of city infrastructure: transportation, water and wastewater, sanitation, urban development, and integrated city systems. It pays special attention to the role of people as stewards, as the city systems highlights the workers who design and build and maintain our cities. Conceived and developed by the New York Hall of Science, CityWorks was a unique multi-sector collaboration with critical contributions from the Science Museum of Minnesota, Beta NYC, Trivium Interactive, MOE Inc., ShowFab, state and city agencies, academic experts, and city residents.
Oh, Kayla, you're muted.
Yeah, because technology.
Yes.
Some more good news coming from New England. This time we have a 2-for-1 coming out of the ECHO Lehigh Center for Lake Champlain. On May 18th, one museum visitor spent over 6 hours designing and iterating a Lego race car in the museum's engineered space. It was the fastest on the track that day, and the education team kept the Lego car so they can study it with future visitors. It's a chance to tinker with a record breaker and see why it went so fast. In April, the museum hosted Guinness World Record holder and Rube Goldberg expert Zach Umpravich and built a one-of-a-kind contraption with materials found at ECHO. Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool indeed, Kayla. For our last big piece of news, let's look to Nebraska. The Museum of Nebraska Art, also known as MONA, reopened to the public on Saturday, May 3rd, following a significant expansion, restoration, and renovation. The new 23,000 square foot expansion includes modern gallery spaces, a community studio, an expanded outdoor sculpture garden, flexible event spaces, and an interactive gallery. Congratulations to the team at MONA.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's just keep on rolling through. Up next, some reminders to keep going. We're going to kick it back to Mountain Plains region with Justin.
In other Nebraska news, the Joslyn Art Museum in Omaha reopened in September 2024 after a 2-year closure during a construction period. Museum educators worked with nearly 200 students at Nelson Mandela Elementary School to engage with their collection, which served as an inspiration as they created their own artworks. Their works were installed in the new Connect Gallery in the spring as the inaugural exhibition titled Ubuntu. Students and teachers shared their thoughts about the partnership. One student said, "What I will remember is that we can do hard things if you put your mind to it, because when I was struggling, they told me I can do this, and those boosted my confidence." Most students responded that they are proud of their work, and that's more than good news. That's awesome.
Now, here's some good news from the Southeast region. The DOT experience aims to become the world's most accessible museum. In Louisville, Kentucky, a revolutionary museum experience is taking shape, one that's setting a new global benchmark for accessibility. The American Printing House for the Blind, in collaboration with local design firm Solid Light, is building the DOT experience, a 28,000 square foot museum designed to be the most accessible of its kind anywhere in the world. Construction is well underway for the highly anticipated 2026 opening. Solid Light is leading the design, fabrication, and installation, guided by the principle, "Nothing about us without us." That means individuals who are blind or low vision have been directly involved in shaping every detail. The museum will feature tactile exhibits, braille panels, audio descriptions, and wheelchair-accessible interactives. Even fragile artifacts like Helen Keller's desk will have touchable replicas, ensuring a fully multi-sensory experience for every visitor. Meanwhile, the American Printing House for the Blind is already connecting with the community through Connect the Dots, a series of inclusive family events held with local libraries to raise awareness and promote accessibility. Set to open in 2026, the DOT experience aims not just to welcome all visitors, but to inspire museums around the world to do the same. That's innovation with impact, right there in Louisville, Kentucky, making a global difference.
Some good museum news from the West is that earlier this week it was announced that the Getty Villa Museum will reopen to the public following its temporary closure due to the Palisades fire. The villa closed the morning of January 7th, when the site was threatened by the fire at its doorstep. Since then, Getty's facility and grounds team have coordinated an extensive cleanup, including deep cleaning the indoor and outdoor spaces, flushing water systems, replacing all the air and water filters, and removing more than 1,300 fire-damaged trees. While the site may look different to visitors, it will reopen on Friday, June 27th. Now that is some good museum news.
Some more good news coming out of New England. We have the Mark Twain House, in a program they've called Make Music with Mark Twain, a cross-disciplinary music performance project. K through 12 music educators face some unique challenges during COVID and educating children around music. A meeting of arts organizations in the summer of 2020, hosted by the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, in hopes of keeping arts education alive during the pandemic, helped create this event. The event created a fruitful collaboration between Dr. Aaron Bartram and the Mark Twain House Museum School Programs Coordinator, Leslie Ismay, the music department chair, Farmington Public Schools, as well. Throughout the summer, Aaron and Leslie collaborated to design a program called Make Music with Mark Twain. This program would allow students to design inquiry projects involving research and music performance. During the 2020-2021 school year, Leslie students were the first to complete the program, which is now featured on the museum website and is available to all educators. This allows music educators to work with the materials and resources of the museum to create cross-curricular projects that fit their needs and the needs of their students, including a public platform to safely share the work of students and students produce with a broader audience. With this program, students don't simply learn about what music meant to the family and the home, they get to research, respond, create, and perform. Then they get to share what they've done with thousands of people who visit the Mark Twain House and Museum's website and the virtual tour each month from around the world. Most importantly, we hope the project allows students to feel the joy of making music and share that joy with others, even if circumstances have forced them to make music in different ways.
Y'all, this next headline from the Southeast really touches my my Chicago native Catholic living in the South heart. So from New Orleans to the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV's Creole roots revealed. In a remarkable blend of faith, heritage, and history, new research is connecting the Vatican to the heart of New Orleans. Earlier this month, the historic New Orleans collection uncovered a stunning genealogical link between Pope Leo XIV and the city's historic 7th Ward. The findings confirm that the pontiff has deep Creole roots. Jury Honoré, a family historian at the collection, led the investigation, tracing the Pope's maternal lineage back to 4 great-grandparents who were all identified as free people of color in 19th century records. His grandparents, Joseph Norvel Martinez and Louise Baquier, were married in New Orleans in 1887. This revelation has stirred pride across the Crescent City, highlighting New Orleans' rich cultural fabric and its lasting influence on global identities, even reaching the papacy. The historic New Orleans collection continues to spotlight the city's diverse past, with this latest discovery putting New Orleans' Creole legacy on a truly international stage. From the 7th Ward to the Vatican, history and heritage meet in a story only New Orleans could tell.
The next bit of good museum news from the West is about the Alaska Native Heritage Center in Anchorage. It exists to be a purposeful, active place where culture is embodied, enacted, and shared. Knowledge transfer is key to the center's mission to reproduce its culture. And this process begins with the elders, whose knowledge is invaluable, says the museum's cultural programs manager. Through the museum, Alaska Natives are passing on particular ways of living, so that subsequent generations can carry forward the values and perspectives of the previous ones. While this isn't a new activity, it was recently highlighted in the major cultural publication Hyperallergic. Greater attention to Indigenous cultures and cultural professionals, especially in the West, is what we consider some good museum news.
And to round out our workday inspiration, our last story comes from New England, University of Vermont's Fleming Museum of Art, which partnered with the Howard Center of Arts Collective, a local organization that facilitates and encourages art making for individuals impacted by mental health and/or substance use challenges, on an exhibition, Let the Fabric Speak. This short clip conveys the great value of inclusive programs and partnerships like this.
My artwork at the Fleming represents Terry Lane, the wonderful place I live. I was thinking about Linda and Lisa, my 2 angels who help take care of me. It gives me a sense of pride to have my artwork shown alongside so many talented artists.
Yes.
It allows me to let my mind run wild and go on a creative journey. I feel as free as I possibly could, pure joy. It gives me a purpose and identity that is vital to my happiness.
More than
Of course, there are more stories of good news than minutes in our broadcast today. So we're going to wrap this segment with some shout outs that are very quick blasts of news.
All right, to get us started off, congrats to the South Carolina State Museum Executive Director, Amy Bartomelia, for being named a new board member of the American Alliance of Museums.
I'd be remiss if I didn't use today to brag about awesome Indiana museums, especially since Indiana won our state challenge last fall. The untold story of Indianapolis's Latino community was brought to light in a groundbreaking documentary, Beyond El Barrio, Early Cultural Contributions to the City of Indianapolis, Seen and Unseen. Congratulations to Nicole Martinez-Legrand and Indiana Historical Society on this premiere. Also in Indiana, happy 100th birthday to the Children's Museum of Indianapolis, the world's largest children's museum.
Best of luck to the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum in Norwalk, Connecticut, as you reopen your museum this June. It sounds like your renovated spaces will be lovely. Finally, thank you to all of the associations and individuals tirelessly advocating for museums, libraries, the arts and humanities, public education, higher education, our national parks, equity, inclusion, and much, much more. We appreciate and understand the work that you're doing. Thank you.
And now I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing you all to our two celebrity guests, rock stars in the field, two men that I deeply, deeply admire. We will be joined today by Ahmad Ward of Mitchville. I'm gonna broker that. I'm sorry. Ahmad Ward and Richard Josie. Ahmad runs the historic Melville Freedom Park, and Richard Josie is of Collective, I'm going to mess it up. I'm sorry, Collective Journeys. Thank you for joining us.
I'll take the new name if it comes with new money.
I'm sorry, I constantly have institutional names running through my mind. But I just want to jump right in. Thank you all for joining us and ask you a few questions that will draw some inspiration for us to keep this work going. So our first question is, how are you finding joy and a sense of community in these times?
You know what? By doing things that have nothing to do with my job. That's how I enjoy community. I watch a whole lot of sports, binge watching. I am watching less news, and I am on YouTube looking at things that are just random. I'm checking out when I get off the clock, and I think it's been helpful. It helped me find joy, and then making sure that I'm making connections with the people who actually mean something.
I love that. I'm definitely in a cycle of housewife binging right now, doing the same thing. And Richard, what about you?
I was gonna say, piggybacking off of what Ahmad's saying, it's like taking this time and really paying attention to myself. Like, what is it that I like? What are the shows that I like? What is it that I like to do that's outside of the museum and history world? Like, who am I outside of the work that I do? And so then that gets into, for me, it got into a whole range of new questions, like, what does it feel like to feel safe in community? Because sometimes we don't feel safe amongst those that we call community. And then it's, okay, well, is it the community or is it something going on with me? And so then it's that really deep introspective journey. And for me, it's, aside from, kind of tapping into who I am, then it's also navigating with who I want to be. And I think this field does not have enough safe spaces. And so for me, I appreciate what we're doing today, because for me, it's like, if you can't find a safe space, then be one. And so that's what this journey has been. And that's how I've been finding joy, is finding my purpose that's not only benefiting me, but it also benefits others. So as long as, I'm sorry, but I love talking about what we can do for each other. And this is a perfect example.
Please don't apologize. As the kids would say, clock it. You definitely spoke on something super important. Clock it. Safe spaces are becoming more rare because institutions were that safe space, that safe third space. And so now being able to say that and being able to know what that looks like, being able to recognize when you're in those spaces is really important. So thank you, Richard, for saying that. And thank you, Ahmad, for your answer as well. I think you have definitely given our viewers something to think about, the both of you. And let's round it out. You two are rock stars in the sector for a reason. So we're always trying to glean some information from you, some things that'll keep us steady in this work. So what are some words of wisdom that you have for us out here doing this work in the sector as museum workers and advocates?
Well, I'm gonna borrow something from what Richard just said about being a safe place. If you can't find one, I think you have to create the space with your constituency. And that constituency right now might be your coworkers or the people that you actually clean to. I think we need to lock arms right now. We need to be looking out for each other right now. We need to extend radical grace in times like this because, every now and then people just need a second to breathe. You know what I mean? And so we allow our people around us to breathe. I'm going to tell you something, breathe and provide oxygen to the people that are around you that you actually care about. Let's breathe a little bit, and let's slow down and think, and let's meditate about what's next. I think we need to stay the course, keep our hand on the plow, keep your head down, and keep pushing.
And you, once you leave this meeting, you need to go and trademark Radical Grace because it landed exactly the way you wanted it to. And I'm going to carry that with me. Thank you, Ahmad.
Absolutely.
Richard, what do you think?
I keep coming back to what I would say is the quintessential question. What kind of ancestor will you be? That's the conversation that we have to have with ourselves, every day. And I think what I would add to that is we are in a habit of being in reaction to what's happening outside of us. And the work that I've done and the work that I'm encouraging practitioners to do is don't live outside in, do inside out. Take care of your inside house first. That affects how you see the rest of the world. That allows you to think through what Ahmad is saying. That's one of the most important things you can do right now is slow down. Slow down. My granddaddy always said, you want to do it right the first time. You don't want to be 5, 6 times and now listen to what it is that I told you. I'm going to be 50 years old this year, and my granddaddy is living through those words. Slow down. But we get into a mindset of we want to serve the community, and we forget we part of the community too. So we got to be sure that we are in a good state to be of service to others. Otherwise, we're going to be getting half-ass, giving half-ass. So let's just tighten up in terms of how we can be a vessel to help the world, including us.
Thank you for saying that. You both gave such great nuggets. And I think the thing that you've reminded us of the most, and sometimes we so often forget, is that this is the museum work, the cultural sector. It's a very human focused place to be. We are focused on person-to-person experiences because we are creating experiences for people to learn and gather and be in community with each other. And we can't create those kind of experiences if we aren't taking care of ourselves first. You can't pour from an empty cup. So thank you both.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Just you said something, and it's been something that's really been sitting with me now, and I'm writing a lot about it. What does it mean for us to move from a purely transactional operation to a relational one? That's the question that I want us to ask ourselves. Look at all of our processes, all of our interactions and everything, and reconsider, if it's transactional, what would it look like if it's relational? Now I'll stop there. Thank you.
Now I want to keep going.
I knew you were going to open up the box, Richard. You can open up the box.
But it's super important because everything changes, everything shifts. Events like this happen when it's relational. When we're really talking about and prioritizing relationships, then we can build coalitions and operate as a fist rather than 6 different fingers. Right. And so that's why I want to honor the moment that you all are having right now, is that I really hope that the rest of the field sees the power that's in this space right now.
Indeed.
All the people that's in the chat, all of the folks that I'm seeing, like, to come together. And I mean, that's who we should be, is the folks that come together and we model the type of society that can win when we're working together rather than, you know, being in this weird, quiet competition.
Yeah. Thank y'all for doing this.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing too? Well, just something that Ahmad said early on in this year when things were changing rapidly. And it's something that I keep with me every day, Ahmad. Don't panic. If you panic, you can't think. And if you can't think, you can't lead. Every day I think about that. So thank you, all of you, for support and wisdom and community.
Thank you.
So awesome. I feel like I'm a little choked up, so it's kind of getting hard to wrap this up. Any final thoughts from my fellow newscasters before we wrap up?
Well, I would just like to share, it happens to be a favorite quote of mine, but feels in the spirit of the moment, which is, it's a Charlie Parker quote, but Mingus made it famous, which is, if you don't live it, it ain't going to come out your horn. So if you can internalize right now the good that you want to see out there in the world, and you can bring that on the inside, then it's going to come out. And I think through our institutions or through our individual actions as leaders in our organizations, whatever our position may be, that's the kind of work we need to be doing right now.
Awesome.
Agree.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Before we go, we thought it'd be good to get a quick stretch in. Before we do that, though, I just want to make sure to invite our 2 guest speakers to stay on just an extra minute so we can snap a photo before we all are off here today. But let's do it. If you're joining us from home, you can stay seated or you can stand up. But I would say everybody who can, stand up and let's just stretch and get a little movement in before we go. Stretch. We can do this. All right, big hugs. Thanks for being here. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all for coming.